The value of slop. To start, I will explain what I mean by slop. Slop is a term describing media which is becoming increasingly common. It's something like soulless media or muzak. Kitsch is similar to slop, though I think kitsch is often folkier. I think about Catholic kitsch, for example. Low skill but charming, often a saccharine form of devotional art. Kitsch is the inversion of slop, where kitsch is all heart and soul, but no skill or taste. Slop is data analysis of what the consumer wants, with tons of skill and production polish but no heart or soul. Slop has no excuse except greed, laziness, and the lack of spine to risk something when creating it. And it's made by big studios, who have resources and talent, but chase trends and market analysis of consumer behavior and wants. It's the kind of stuff you have playing in the background, either on Netflix or YouTube, while you do other things, usually scrolling TikTok or texting. It's not designed to be worth your full attention. It's designed to get viewing hours for the creators on YouTube analytics so that advertisers will pay to run their ads. I guess too that a passive distracted viewer is even worth more to an advertiser, since they won't skip past the ads the way an active viewer will. The message gets through to your subconsciousness. You know the jingle even if you never paid any attention to the ad. As a casual YouTube creator, I feel the incentive myself to make slop. It's a heck of a lot easier to ask AI to write something, put that script into an AI editor, and be done with it. I did this as an experiment on one of my videos, and it only took me a couple of hours. AI slop is a real threat, but it is also highly incentivized to make. If you can find the right topic, you can get a significant number of views. Combine that with people training their own AIs and doing AI market analysis, and people can find exactly what consumers are watching, train an AI on it, and manufacture it endlessly. Eventually, automate the whole process from writing to uploading, so it runs 24/7 without a person doing anything. My concern when making my own experimental slop was how easy slop propaganda would be to make. I mean, imagine if one trained an AI on Reddit threads and then wrote scripts parroting the popular and most upvoted content on there. The echo chambers would be locked in a matrix of slop media curated to indulge every dumb idea, irrational emotion, and ideological take from those demographics. It would be brain rot steroids for degenerates. As a creator, there's a strong incentive to try and tap this market since it would be easy to automate once the AI training is complete. I could single-handedly create a few videos a day, making propaganda slop as a hobby, versus the hours it takes just writing out real thoughts. In other words, the essential characteristic I see in slop is that it doesn't explore new territory, risk anything or say anything challenging. It reconstitutes previous tropes into endless configurations that data analysis says people have already been gouging themselves on, and does this reconfiguring quickly and efficiently, creating a simulacrum of creativity and new content. When it comes to arts, it has no concern in generating aesthetic value, but exploits some precondition as a simulacrum of the aesthetic experience. The danger is how quickly it will outpace the production of art and both take attention away from art and resources, away from the artist to produce art, further creating a degenerate taste for efficiently made slop within the public, the way TikTok and Reddit already have been expanding these tastes to kids, those yet to have formed a palate for goodness, and so expanding a taste for slop, creating a public unreachable by art or aesthetic values. Currently, most slop builds on past IPs, the way the new Indiana Jones, Ghostbusters, and Ring of Power are watery stories built on that IP. You probably already forgot that 2 new Ghostbusters came out or are asking, what new Indiana Jones? Then you know exactly what makes slop. Slop. It's forgettable, highly transient, not made to last, and the artist isn't investing their legacy into it by any means. That's why it seems to have no heart or soul. The talent isn't exploring new territory, which is part of what we look for artists to do. Instead, they are staying within the analytics of what's going to get views, not what's going to inspire a generation or what they are going to be remembered in history by. There are no flashes of brilliance or effort to capture lightning in a bottle. The creative arc is never approached. The YouTuber Pillar of Garbage, who inspired this essay, describes it in passing as a ghost turd. It's shit, but shit that doesn't leave a mark. Slop automates the process with little thought, in the same way our body makes a turd. Slop is made as a reaction to an anal retentive need for more money, then released as formless material, made from the byproduct of digesting something which has already been consumed. It is excreted and forgotten about. The problem is, why is it being produced at all? It obviously has value since people are getting rich producing slop, so the market has spoken. My argument is that the essential characteristic of slop is that it lacks aesthetic value, even if it's dressed up with the best production, with the best techniques and polish that is used in creating art. All of this is part of its simulacrum to aesthetics. All this production process is something AI is advancing at very quickly. But what I'm seeking to explain is why aesthetic failures are seemingly purposely produced. Why put all these resources towards making ghost turds? Because it wouldn't be produced unless someone wanted it. And to say the unpopular opinion, it's because people, Americans especially, have terrible aesthetic sensibilities. We don't cultivate them, we don't esteem them, we don't reward them. So the simulacrum is served to us, and we eat it up all the same as if it was art. And as I mentioned in my own experiment with AI, this is easier on the creator. The Reddit market is extremely exploitable, while connoisseurs are much more difficult to appease. Cult classic films, for example, are often discovered much later, and getting a Michelin star can take a decade, while underground music may never reach pop status. Quality art produces a value which is incompatible with a disposable, short attention span, attention economy. As a creator, I have every reason to feed this market and continue to farm it, especially if I myself have no talent or taste. The second reason I would give is that capitalism is lazy. Capitalism doesn't actually want to work or create value, it wants to make money. And money today, in the post-gold standard currency of fractional reserve banking, is nothing but a social construct. It has no one-to-one measure to anything objective. If our economy has no basis in any kind of stable objective value, and we interact with it in all our exchanges of value, we become habituated to engaging with all value as fluctuating. A great artistic masterpiece of the past may tomorrow crash in its social appraisement just like Bitcoin. If there is no transcendent value possible, something which is cut off from the market value, something sacred, then art cannot reify or incarnate the transcendent. Art becomes just another form of cryptocurrency with historical attributes, like an antique or vintage wine, which have commodified and factored into its market value the supply of these historical attributes. This is because market value itself doesn't reflect some higher-order collective rationality of value. The invisible hand is not some epiphenomenon of a universal reason determining value, a transcending arbitrator of value. It has no reason in it. If anything, consumer markets are moved by the most irrational forces, which are collectively manifesting patterns from impulses and urges. The parts of choices which are generated with the lowest infusion of reason. The free market reflects impulsive buying, shop therapy, trends, self-esteem issues, and our ascribing of value to fetishized objects as they come in and out of the consciousness of advertising space. The invisible hand is more like a giant Ouija board. There is no higher force moving it or brought into existence. It rather manifests a collection of the subconscious and lower forces of consumers. These collective forces operate chaotically to create a reasonless will, a body of the masses without a head, that we then give technical materialist language to, like market forces. This helps to legitimize the voodoo, superstition, and mysticism that we allow to govern our lives. We must not see how religious we all are in order to maintain faith in this force of prosperity. The moment we collectively all stop believing in the dollar or Bitcoin is the moment the castle in the sky disintegrates. Much of our consumer economy functions by what amounts to spirit channeling value into existence. By projecting a tangled web of inner impulses, needs, and desires onto production means, we are effectively praying to it with our demand, invoking the spirit of production with our view count of a new product to indicate our will for it to be produced. We promise to give our attention to the media. This is our sacrifice of consuming it, and thus manifesting value to it to advertisers. At other times, our inner lives are farmed for desires by the data we provide, so our lords can manufacture them. We then exchange what is produced with a token which has high exchange fluidity, be it a digital stand-in for a dollar or a crypto coin, but neither has material existence. Credit and debt remove this one layer further from the world of the real. Belief that I will repay a debt gives my credit value, while the value of the material product bought with immaterial currencies comes from how well it subjectively grants satisfaction to the largest number of incubated consumer serfs and patronized debtors. So the market supplies whatever there is demand for, and value is determined by what there is demand for. So people often want media that isn't healthy for them, and collectively those appetites create market forces which are serviced. This creates a pseudo-value not based on any quality, but on the demand for slop. Just like junk food, the fact that you like it and want it doesn't mean someone else should be producing it, but the market forces incentivize production forces to provide more fast food options, regardless of whether data says the major consumers of those goods are people with diabetes and heart issues. It's not a market that needs to be served, but since it's such a large market, pure analytical market diagnostics would prescribe that this demand needs more supply. But it's a demand by people who make bad lifestyle choices, or who may have addiction issues or lack benefits of education about nutrition. Analogously, our media diet is very similar. We often consume things that don't serve our mental health. We rage watch, doom scroll, or consume ego-boosting media which is very attractive, but which is all only a simulacrum of information and entertainment, but which is difficult to walk away from once engaged with. So Slop fulfills these bad diet choices which we enjoy. Media is also taking on therapeutic roles in our lives. We listen to other people complain about the same problems we have to affirm our own struggles. Rap music to me is often like a pep talk from a coach. Go out there and show them what you've got. Jay-Z is Tony Robbins for the hood, giving you a crash course on how to be successful and pumping you up to do it. Top G and the Manosphere 2 are like a virtual support group for guys trying to navigate the changing landscape of dating apps, feminism and wealth creation in a consumer economy. The View is the Top G for radical feminists explaining the whole world as racist misogamy rather than as beta misandry. This therapeutic media is especially prone to being slop because it's about creating a feeling, not a product. The therapy doesn't actually have to fix anything, and it's not subject to evaluation by some board of psychology or treatment center. It just has to comfort or console the consumer. In short, there is no quality control, nor is practical success in the therapy sought out in consuming it. If it fixes the negative feelings now, then that's enough. Using the health analysis, its job is not to heal, it's to cope with negative emotions. And all of this too is transient, because it doesn't fix problems. Therapeutic media doesn't have development in its therapy or major artists, the way medicine and art history do. It doesn't build upon successes and create more advanced treatments. It all ages terribly. Top G constantly has to fight to retain his relevance, and it's because he has very little substance to offer. While The View seems to specialize in using a panel of women to create the dumbest idea as a team, striving to excel in doing what no single one of them could do alone. And this is a real product. Let us call it hyperdumb, which has value when spoken with invincible confidence and can only be manufactured by women who possess their stature. Normal women couldn't sell to other women that level of dumb because they lack the poise and confidence that only actors, lawyers, and models have specialized in. The consumer wants to buy this level of dumb. This is top-shelf stupid, and there is a market for top-shelf stupid. But it has to have branding. No one wants to be caught running around in handmade stupid when the other women have designer Louis Vuitton stupid. And I'm not saying this jokingly, even if it is amusing, everything is commodifiable. And people will pay other people to sell them their own vices, failing and folly as virtue, success and wisdom. The simulacrum of thought and insight by The View or Top G aren't going to challenge their audience. They're going to pamper them with what they came to hear, dressed up in a tux. They are rather the puppets themselves, moved by the strings of a puppeteer who is the irrational needs of their audience. They must channel those collective needs and articulate them for them, no matter how dumb they sound coming into the logos of rational consciousness. Their job is to give the chaotic, irrational, unprocessed interior life of their audience an exteriorized avatar, one which is glamorous, high status, rich and successful, one which does not need to change but whose role is to judge and punish all who don't revere it. In other words, they are paid to manifest the spirit of the Antichrist. The audience's own self-pride is shown to them at the height of worldly power, for them to worship and adore as their salvation. So this is what I see as one of the major purposes of slop. It's substance-less, but creates a sense of satiation of a need. Those needs do not have to be good for us, and can often be the worst parts of our psychology reaching out for gratification. In contrast, when talking about art, the aesthetic experience is described by Kant as a reprieve from the suffering of life. Looking at art takes us out of our instinctual drive for incessant pragmatic activity. It allows us to suspend the practical reason. Art allows reason to operate freely without being anchored to some Sisyphean task of practical reason. Some chore that was solved and accomplished will repeat itself again tomorrow, like hygiene, house cleaning, and financial matters. Slop is a failed aesthetic experience. We don't give our full attention and rational contemplation to it as an aesthetic object, but it has the same goal of seeking catharsis. You listen to music in an elevator, which is not listened to for itself, but on your way to doing something else, probably something you rather not do, like going to a doctor's appointment. The music provides a minute of suspended blasé mindlessness free from anxiety before the doors open, and you have to surmount the practical life again. We watch Netflix to not think about work. It's not going to the ball. It's not an event in our lives. It distracts us from life's pain. YouTube plays while we avoid responsibilities and work. One more video, possibly this one, then I'll do that thing I said I would start 15 minutes ago. Perhaps some insight or catharsis it could offer will get me going. The difference is that it's not a true reprieve. You don't actually become immersed in the music or movie, and you don't linger in its every note, thinking only about how beautifully organized and masterfully chosen each note was. It's not a vacation of the soul that places you in a different world and allows you a new vantage point from which to reflect upon the totality of life, nature, and existence. Rather, it's a Tums, or cigarette that gets rid of indigestion or anxiety of consuming life's bitter dishes long enough to get to the next one. Slop is the palate cleanser of drinking toilet water that helps us endure eating life's shit sandwiches and the meaningless suffering of tasks we force ourselves through rather than being a celebration of the a prior glory of the universe, the way the wine of mirthful art does. Art can help us look from the vantage point of beauty's existence at our own sufferings, to reflect on the meaning of our suffering, and search contemplatively for a redemptive value in it. The greater danger is never developing a taste for art, and the market saturation of slop makes finding art more difficult and the appetite for art more likely to fall dormant.